Yeah. What's up, Little Ron? What's up, Nation? Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic David Copeland. I'm here every Saturday morning from 9 to 10. Tell you what, got a little good news for you. Those of you who care, you may not care, but I can tell you anyway. Starting August 1st, go 2 hours. 8 to 10 instead of 9 to 10 because I don't think it's going to kick off around that time. Catch that little pun, kick off at that time. Football season is going to get up and running full play. So, check out, we need about 2 hours to cover football right here in Arkansas and around the country. So, and certainly the SEC, speaking of SEC, things just ended this past week. We'll talk about that. Got a little clip from Brett Bielema. I think it's very interesting. We'll talk about those things today. Of course, you can certainly call me as well. The number I'm going to give that to you in just a moment, for sure. But it's basically open conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the rankings. A lot of people are certainly excited about the Razorbacks this year. There is a buzz. I'm sorry, I don't feel it. In fact, you call me the, if it's a buzz, then that means you call me the inception color because I'm just not seeing it. I did grow up here in Little Rock. I am a Razorback fan and sold hot dogs at War Memorial Stadium during the Joe Ferguson and Dickie Morton days. So it was Troop 450 and Scoutmaster Clifton Towns back in the day. So yeah, I am a Razorback fan. One thing I've learned in doing sports, I'm kind of realistic. Okay, I've been doing this for a long time. You don't get too high, and you don't get too low. It's kind of how I look at it. So we'll talk about that this morning. I've got a rant this morning that's going to tick some people off, and it's going to make some people happy. But I've got to do it. I did it on my Thursday show, and people were really thrilled to hear it, and got a lot of good response from it. So we're going to do it this morning as well. It's straight to the heart, no doubt about it. We're going to talk a little bit about some NFL signings that took place this weekend, certainly around this area. Cowboy fans ought to be happy. We'll get into that a little later on. Jason Pierre-Paul still without contract and a finger. We'll talk about that. The Open Championship is taking place across the pond. Well, it should be, but it isn't because they've got bad weather, so they've canceled everything, from what I understand. So it will take place. I guess the finals will be the last day will be Monday. But if you want, you can get up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning if you happen to be up getting off work, or if you're like me, a basic insomniac, you can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and catch the Open Championship. I believe it's ESPN. It is Real Sports. You get a little bit of that ESPN commentary, but fortunately, you don't get a lot of it. So that's the good thing about it. You know what I'm saying? So, and you'll understand what I mean by that later on. Major League Baseball All Star Game since we last met took place. We'll get into that, of course. You like the All Star Game? I think it's a joke, along with the Home Run Derby, but I'm a bird of a different feather. Mayweather gets some shade from Ronda Rousey at the ESPYS. And that's about all I'm going to say about that. Of course, I thought it was a neat joke. I didn't watch the ESPYS. I'll get into that later on as to why. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. Those of you who are not ESPN clones, as I am not, you'll hear more about that later on as well. So that kind of sets the agenda for the day. Oh, we did talk about Serena Williams last Saturday. This time, Serena Williams had just won Wimbledon. I went home and watched the match, and congratulations to her. That's the third Grand Slam this year. She has one to go, which is the U.S. Open in Flushing Meadow, where if she wins that, then she completes the calendar year Grand Slam, something that hasn't been done since 1988. And I bring that up because that's going to tie into my rant as well. But over the last week, there has been, and I've been talking about this a little bit over the last month or so, about the ugly things that have been said about Serena Williams. And they have become forefront over the last couple of weeks, even to the point where an article was published in the New York Times body shaming Serena Williams. And it really, really ticked me off. And I'm a little tired of it. In fact, I've been tired of it. But we're going to address that this morning as well. So that's part of the reason I don't have guests. I'm basically in a bad mood. Well, I'm actually in a good mood, but we got to take our first break. So when we come back, we're going to listen to the clip from Brett Bielema, and then we'll get into some other good things. So you stick and stay, because we ain't playing up in here. Because I'm living in America. Glad to have my boy Ty Clegg back with me today. Might even get him on the mic, get some of his opinions this morning. You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine right here on joinnetradio.com.
Like they don't got rid of a lot of wires and stuff that was wrong.
No, they actually took this box. I had to take this box.
Oh, that's good. They were just, yeah. You got a minute to 50 seconds.
All right.
What I'm gonna do is bring the song back in, and I'll stop it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you when to play it. I'll let you know.
I got a bid today today. I got this, Alex 12. I got an engagement with 4. Then I got another. I got the Black University Runway. And then here about 6:30. The church tonight at 6:30.
Wow. You'll be doing some running, aren't you?
Yes, sir. And tomorrow I got to go to Campus for mass worship. Then we got our state convocation next week from Tuesday to Sunday. Next Saturday I won't be there.
Okay.
I ain't got nothing, I'm gonna be here.
Well, usually on Saturdays, the thing that I can run it. So if you can't be here, that's no problem. It's easy to. It's easy to run to do it when someone's on tour. Now play number 6. Let's name on the next one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, welcome back to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave. Here every Saturday morning, want to remind people that if you go out to David W. Coleman on Facebook, you can catch the show. I am streaming live So you can catch the link out there also. So we're doing it live right here on Google Plus, and of course you can also go out to Facebook for my YouTube page. Yes, I do have a YouTube page, and you can catch all the old videos. All right. So we've been seeing a lot. Certainly, SEC Media Days took place this past weekend, and there's been a lot of talk about it. And I don't know that I really agree what people are saying, but hope springs eternal, as they like to say, and many people around Arkansas, particularly, are thinking that the Razorbacks will be better. Even if they are better, and people are going by this fact. I hear this a lot. Hey, well, there were 3 or 4 games we should have won, but we didn't win them. Well, that's right. You didn't win them. All right, and the circumstances have changed. Those games, those teams have gotten better. Where is Arkansas along that plateau? We still have questions at quarterback. They still have questions at defensive line because who's gonna replace Phylon in those guys? You still have questions there. You certainly have an excellent running back tandem. I've seen them ranked as high as second in some places across the country as it relates to their worth. The offensive line has been ranked as high as first across the country, so that's good. But overall, I think where you run into problems, and not that I don't think Arkansas will be better, I think you run into problems when it comes to the schedule. And we'll look at that schedule here in just a moment. But Brett Bielema this weekend was at the SEC Media Days, and he said something interesting, and this is quasi football related, and it's not. But just check this out. Go ahead. Well, that's very interesting. I kind of like that. I think Brad Bielema brings a freshness to this Razorback squad. And, when he was hired, I wasn't here in Little Rock. I was still in Nashville doing radio. But I said then on my show that I'd like the hire. And here's why I like Brad Bielema. And I know people are caught up in these newfangled offenses and things of that nature. But in the SEC, there are certain truths that you have to adhere to if you're going to win football in the SEC. Here's the first one. You must play defense in this league. All right? Here's the second thing. You must run the football in this league. All right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Those two things, if you run the football and play defense, you can win in this league. Brett Bielema fits the bill. You look at those teams that have won consistently, and the juice is just really one, and that's Alabama. But what do they do? And I'm not saying Arkansas needs to bottle themselves after Alabama. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm simply saying when you're talking about playing football in the SEC, it's hit them in the mouth every Saturday evening. And you better be tough. And what shows toughness more than anything? Playing gritty, hard-nosed defense and being able to run the ball down your opponent's throats. Think about that. So Bielema certainly does that. I also like the fact what he's talking about as far as Twitter handles, and certainly these young people out there. And I used to tell my kids all the time is that look, if I'm a business owner, which I am, and I want to hire you, and I know you might say that my life is private, not all the time, because you're going to be representing my company, so I have a right to know what your background is. And same goes to a young man who I'm about to recruit. I want to know that you have some type of character. And if you're putting racist symbols, you're walking around with weapons, or you got a stogie or a joint in your mouth, or you're 18 and you got pictures of cognac or liquor and all this other stuff. You had a wild party, something that doesn't shed good light on you, and you might be the innocent person there. You know that old saying, "Pictures say 1,000 words." You need to pay attention to that. And I like that about Brett Billman. That look, if there's something on your Twitter page, if that's something on your Facebook page, that represents you. Everything that I put on my Facebook page, that represents me. I tell people all the time, I bring it straight with no chaser. So if you don't like what I say, you may not want to go to my Facebook page. That's David W. Coach, if you want to go. Everybody's going to jump out on the face. But I'm saying, I'm not putting anything out there that I'm ashamed of, because I use a little common sense. Do I want to post this on my wall? Do I not? But a lot of kids don't have filters like that, and they put stupid stuff on their Facebook pages. And you're hearing a head coach, and there are many others out there who feel the same way. He's not going to recruit you, and you might be the best kid in the world, the best athlete in the world, if you have bogus crap on your Facebook page or your Twitter. You need to think about that, folks. Hey, we need to go take a break. We'll keep this up in just a moment. We're going to come back and go over the Arkansas Razorback schedule here. All right? You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine on JoyNetRadio.com. Hearts of fire creates love desire. What's that? That's fine. Okay. Don't worry about it. Just plug it. Those sets work a lot better, don't they? Yeah, yeah. Kicking back like a fat rat, old school style. Man, I had to rap for you a little bit. Little Gil Scott Heron. Hey, this is David Cope. You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine here every Saturday. Looking forward to it. August 1st, 2 hours, starting at 8 o'clock. So you all make sure you hit your dial, tell your man. You can get up. You can listen to me all over the country. All you got to do, by the way, go out to the Google Store, iPhone Store, download the JoyNet app. Do that, okay? And you can have a little fun with me every Saturday. Now, we were talking about the Razorbacks. Coming up here in just a moment, you're going to get my rant about the ESPYs. But we were talking about the Razorbacks earlier. And, I wanted to just pull up, the SEC Media Days took place this past week. And here are their picks. And let's just start, instead of doing the conference, the championship voting first, let's do with the divisions. The East, they had Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, South Carolina, Florida, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt. In the West, they had Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Now, just some quick observations about that setup. Let's start with the East. Now, not giving Missouri any respect whatsoever. If you look at the East, Missouri comes back with one of the better quarterbacks in Matty Moore than anybody in the East. Missouri has won the SEC East for the last 2 years, yet you're disrespecting them totally. As far as Tennessee is concerned, I think a lot of the buzz is kind of like Arkansas in the West. They finished on a high note last year, but it depends on how their schedule falls for them. And of course, Georgia, they figured eventually they've got to win it one way or the other. So I think they've kind of got it at the point. South Carolina, who knows? Florida, I think they're going to play better. And Vanderbilt and Kentucky are about in the same spot that they've been in the last 20, 30 years now. They'll rear their ugly heads every now and then, but not in football. As far as the West is concerned, I certainly understand Alabama and Auburn. They're right there only, but here's the weird thing about it. Alabama only got 92 first place votes to win the West. Auburn got 108. And I'm going to point out a peculiarity with those two in just a moment. LSU ended up with 10. Arkansas fourth with 6 first place votes. Then you got Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. The weird thing about that, the best quarterback in the SEC has got to be Dak Prescott at Mississippi State. Yet he's picked with his team to finish last, even in the West, not even being considered. And going in, he's an Heisman Trophy candidate. So if he pulls it out of a hat this fall, I tend to believe that you might want to put Dak Prescott. But we'll get to that later on as time. Time will tell, as people like to say. But here, okay, so let's go ahead and look at what's going on with the championship vote. So they picked Auburn with 96 votes, Alabama with 80, Georgia, LSU, Arkansas tied for 5th with Ole Miss, Tennessee tied for 7th with A&M, Florida, and Mississippi State. Again, Mississippi State last as far as the championship run is concerned. Now, remember, Auburn and Alabama swapped spots when it came to the SEC West, but Auburn ended up with more votes for first place in the West. So now they're putting in first place in the championship vote. Alabama 2nd, Georgia 3rd, LSU 4th, Arkansas tied for 5th with Ole Miss. I think it's curious that if you're saying Tennessee is going to come in 2nd place in the East, but you voted 7th in the overall voting for the championship. I mean, who knows? I mean, these guys, you pick all the time, every year. You never know what's going to come out. I know there's a lot of optimism about the Razorbacks and I want to look at their schedule real fast before we get out of this segment, just to give you an idea of my skepticism. Okay, because even if the Razorbacks are better, they've got a new offensive coordinator, number one. That's always a difficult transition. They have Brad Allen. People tend to believe that he's gonna be better this year. What was that game last year that I was watching? I'm trying to remember. I was watching. It was late in the season. Gosh, I can't. and Brad Allen was hurt. His shoulder was hurt, and they wouldn't pull him out. What game was that? Was it was the Missouri game? Yeah. Okay. So Brad Allen was hurt. They wouldn't pull him out, and I was sitting there talking to my brothers, and I'm saying, "You got a quarterback who has one arm, who can't throw the football. All right. If you could have made some plays in that game, you could have beat Missouri in that game. Yet you didn't put the backup in. So how bad was the backup that you would rather have your one-arm quarterback play that game off, play that whole game? So you come back with the same thing. Brad Allen to me hasn't done much. I'm sorry. I know everybody wants to talk about how he's and you would tend to believe he's a fifth year senior. You tend to believe that he would play much better just by osmosis. You've been around the program. You know what to expect. This, that, and the other. You got to hope that's going to happen. If the Razorbacks are going to be successful and win the games that many people here in Arkansas that I've talked to, boy, the optimism is just about to blow people's heads off. If the Razorbacks are going to win 9, 10 games, Mr. Allen is going to have a fantastic season. Okay? Now, in your heart of hearts, do you think he's capable of doing that? Where have you seen in his tenure as a Razorback quarterback, where have you seen that he's capable of rising above mediocrity? I haven't seen it. I'm just saying, usually you get flashes of brilliance. A quarterback that has the potential to go to the next level, usually you get flashes of brilliance. You get none of that with Mr. Allen. Nor do you get that with his brother. You know, excuse me, and that's Austin Allen, the backup. That's the one that couldn't come off the bench. Okay? But here's the thing here, and I know I made a lot of Razorback fans mad when I first got here talking about the show. How is it that you got two brothers, 1 and 2, on the state football team? Are you telling me that there were no better quarterbacks that you could have went out and recruited and given them another scholarship? I'm just saying. And we saw that if that second brother was so good, he couldn't come off the bench last year in Missouri's game to sit his brother, who was one arm and couldn't throw the football. I'm just saying, the fix was in, folks. I know y'all Razorback fans mad at me. I'll get better, okay? But I look from the outside in. I don't see with Razorback colored glasses. All right? I'm just, how is it that both of them ended up 1 or 2 on the Arkansas football roster? Were they that good? I'm just, from what I've seen from both of them, they're mediocre at best. Let me look at this guy real fast. All right. Stop laughing, Ty. I want people. I bring it straight with no chase on the show. All right. All right. So here's the schedule for Arkansas. UTEP, let's say that's the winner. Okay. It better be. Okay. Toledo, that's a win. Okay. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now these are not my official picks. We're going to make my official picks on August 1st. But these, I'm just kind of going through the schedule. I haven't really analyzed it. Texas A&M, that's FA field. That potentially should be a win. So that's 3-0 going into the game with Texas A&M. Well, I'm sorry, Texas Tech. That's going to be good. Now they're 3-0 September 26th as they go into the games, go into the Texas A&M game at Arlington. People think that A&M is going to be down. I'm going to go ahead and give them one. Right. I haven't started studying all right, so now they go on the road. This is why I'm telling you this is going to be a tough schedule. They go to Tennessee. They go to Alabama. both of those are losses. This is my predictions. Okay, leave me alone. Then they have Auburn at home. Auburn is predicted to win the SEC. I'm gonna say that. They got UT Martin for homecoming. I believe they can beat Ole Miss. So I'm giving them a win. At LSU, that's a loss. LSU's Mississippi State. I think let's go ahead and give them a win on that. And Missouri and what's it? They play Missouri. Thanks the day after Thanksgiving, but it's not in Missouri or it's not in Arkansas. I forget. I think they've changed that game. It's going to be a yearly. You know how they used to play LSU the day after Thanksgiving, and they're changing that to Missouri. It's going to be the day after Thanksgiving. So, thanks for the benefit of our argument right now. Let's give them a name. So that's 8 wins right there. Things fall. So if they beat Tennessee, that means they're 9. I don't. I have to look at that. They've got a tough schedule. I just don't see it happening. I'm sorry, I'm not as optimistic as you are, Mr. Tom. I grew up in Little Rock. Yep, sure did. Well, I mean, I'm being optimistic about what's going on. So 9-4, maybe. I'm not sold on their quarterback play. I'm not sold on their defense. I'm not sold on their defense. They have 6 returning starters back on defense. They have 8 on offense. All right, I'm just not sold on it at all. They have no big name quarterback, no big name players coming back on defense that you can look for. There's just a lot of shoes that's going to have to be filled there. So I'm just not. I mean, to give you an example, Trey Flowers is gone. Marshall Spade is gone. Darius Philon is gone. Who's gonna fill those shoes? Those were names that when you watch Razorback games last year, you got a lot of stuff. Those are names that you always heard of. Who's gonna fill those shoes? That's the question. And I don't look, like I said, if you're gonna win in the SEC, you gotta run the football. You gotta play. Well, and again, you got an unproven quarterback. You can say, well, he's a 5th-year senior. Well, maybe that's the problem. He's a 5th-year senior. So I'm just saying, I think they need to look outside of the area. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of Arkansas, but I asked that question a couple of months ago when I had a couple of Arkansas fans look at me cross-eyed.
But any of the competition of people, I mean, the Arkansas team always gets somebody.
But here's what I know. There's been a lot of quarterbacks over the last few years that they've recruited from the Northwest Arkansas area that hadn't panned out. Okay? They've been playing for North Side and South Side, and no offense. But when they get to the college level, they're not panning out. I'm just saying. And if you're telling me that those are the best players Arkansas can recruit, then they're never going to win. Okay? They're never going to win. But the players those quarterbacks that they're recruiting out of the Northwest Arkansas area are turning out to be duds. And I know, and they might be good young men. I'm not attacking them personally. I'm simply saying the production that you expect from an SEC quarterback. This is the SEC, baby. This is the top of the heap. Exactly. So if you are in the SEC and you want to compete in the SEC, then you ought to be turning out some big name quarterbacks every now and then. They're not.
Had Robert Johnson and set him up. But if You ever get a scrambling quarterback and can throw the football?
We'll see how things go. But I'm just saying, we got to go ahead and take our next break here. But it's just interesting how things turn out. When we come back, we're going to get into my little rant. I think you'll find it interesting. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoy. You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine on JoyNetRadio.com.
He said that he would have, a part in that, both of them getting on
that. Let's just do a little Google search. Is that Lady B? Yeah, she texted me and said she's on. So what? What? No, it should be in there. I don't know. You know what? I would look for that. Do a search. Uh, Welcome back to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave. I'm here every Saturday morning. Appreciate my boy Ty Clegg jamming the box for me today. Had some good music. Of course, I have the best bumper music in country as it relates to old school music. So, some of that. Look, as I said, I always do my rant, and I'm going to go ahead and do the rant this morning. And I will tell you that if you got your little kitty sitting by the radio and the computer monitor, you might want to just tell them to take a hike. I'll just okay, but no. Seriously speaking, of course, this past week there was the ESPYs, and full disclosure, I am not an ESPN clone. I am not an ESPN fan. Ever since they were purchased by Disney, ESPN has went to the toilets. Now, and of course, I've had some I won't say personal dealings, but indirect dealings with ESPN early on in my radio career that kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, along with some of the other coworkers that were working at that current station at the time. So I say that, and I say this so people will know that, oh, well, you just got an axe to grind with ESPN. Well, I really do, but it has nothing to do with personal. It has everything to do with the content that they're putting out over the air. Over the years, since they were purchased by Disney, ESPN and their stories, their commentary has really began to get on my nerves. And I'm not the only one who says that. Many of my friends, many listeners that I've had in the past have said the very same thing. That, it used to be that women had their channels and men had their channels. One of the channels was the sports channel. That we could always go to ESPN and get some sports, some X's and O's, some Jimmys and some Joes. That's all we wanted. We didn't want commentary. We didn't want political shade one way or the other. We just wanted sports. Now, all of a sudden, since purchased by Disney, ESPN has decided that they want to interject their personal agenda, their station agenda, that being Disney, into how we view our sports these days. Because of that, I don't watch ESPN much at all. Only time I watch ESPN is when there is a game on. I will watch Sports Center every now and then, but many of the shows that are on ESPN are simply not worth my personal time anymore. So I say all of that to say this. The ESPYs took place this past week, and first and foremost, Serena Williams, who is about to do something that hasn't been done since 1988. That is to win the calendar Grand Slam, was snubbed as the female athlete of the year. That snub goes to Ronda Rousey. Now, you may not know that name. Well, I'm not surprised. But just in case, to give you a little background about Ronda Rousey, she is a mixed martial arts fighter. Her record right now is 11-0. The fights that she has, and let me be clear, I don't care for mixed martial arts. As a viewer, spectator sport. I know there are thousands of people out there who do. I simply don't. And if I don't care about the men's side, I certainly don't care about the women's side. But I asked the question about competition. Who has this woman faced that she's 11-0, that she can get athlete of the year? Let me just tell you what Serena has done. She's been 28-0. She's about to win. She's won 3 Grand Slam events. The Australian Open, the French Open. She just dominated Wimbledon. She's 33 years old. No one can touch her. She's about to win the U.S. Open unless something calamitous happens. So that means she will win the calendar Grand Slam. How the heck can you tell me that a Ronda Rousey is a better athlete than Serena Williams? I will make the argument that Serena Williams is not just the best female athlete of the year, she is the best athlete, period. And I'd say she's been that way for the last 5 years. Yet I digress. So Ronda Rousey gets the award for best female athlete over Serena Williams. That tells you right there that the ESPYs are a joke. And be aware that the ESPYs are only recognized on ESPN. CBS Sports, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, none of the Associated Press, none of them recognize the ESPYs as a legitimate award. It's a joke, okay? So this is set up by ESPN because, guess what? ESPN runs MMA on some of their sister stations. So doesn't it stand to reason that I should give Ronda Rousey the best female athlete of the year so people will know her, so when they see her name, they'll come and watch the fights? of some sport. More importantly, and I think this is the one thing that annoyed me more than anything. Well, let me take it back. The Serena thing annoyed me more than anything. But then you give the Courage Award. You give the Courage Award to Bruce Caitlyn Jenner. Oops, nope, I'm not politically correct. Sorry, it's not beautiful to me. No, it isn't. All right? And it doesn't take courage to put on a dress. The young man by the name of, was it George Galloway, who is a current athlete who went to Iraq, who lost his left arm and his left leg and still competes. That's courage, folks. Someone who runs away from manhood, that's not courage. And see, the backstory now coming out with ESPN, and we're going to blow past this break here, so don't worry about that. But the backstory coming out with ESPN is that Caitlyn Jenner, or the PR people, she is about to have a reality show. And they went to ESPN executives, Disney, and said, hey, look, if you give Caitlyn Jenner the Courage Award, then we will allow you to run space on the reality show for Caitlyn Jenner. So if that's true, that means that Caitlyn Jenner and her PR people bought time or bought this award on the ESPN. You see how disgusting that is? So basically, ESPN is trying to shove Caitlyn Jenner down our throat. Well, I disagree. You know, and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. All I want is my sports channels back. Okay? I want to be able to go back and look at my sports channels and be able to talk about the game. I don't care who he's sleeping with. I don't care what he's dressing in. I don't care how many baby mamas he got. I just want my sports channels back. And it's to the point, what I do now with the DVR is I will hit the DVR at the start of a game. And I will let it run 30 minutes to an hour. Then I'll come in and begin to watch the game via the DVR. You should try this. I even do this in television. And when the commercials come on, or when that soppy commentary come on, or when those commercials come on about your ESPN agenda, whatever it is, all I gotta do is hit the fast forward button. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So now, before you all go out and say, well, Dave's home. No. I got quite lesbian and homosexual. That's them. I ain't trying to judge them. They'll be judged one way or the other. I treat people as people. And what I tell them is, as long as you don't try to push your agenda on me, we're cool. Because see, your rights end where mine began. So we cool. But when you have a television station and a company as powerful as ESPN, ABC, and then they move, usually the ESPYs come on ESPN. Did you notice that they moved them to ABC, regular network programming, hoping that the ratings would be off the chart, more people would watch? This was a joke. ESPN is a joke. Their commentary is a joke. I am so glad that there are more sports channels beginning to open up where you can get alternative sports information other than ESPN. I advise you to do so. Because people are beginning to realize that the people behind ESPN are pushing an agenda. whether you agree with it or not. That's what they're doing. I go back to a couple of years ago with the Ben Roethlisberger thing. Remember when Ben Roethlisberger was accused of rape a few years ago? Was it in the West Virginia, North Carolina bar, one of those bars? ESPN refused to cover it initially. I wrote them a scathing letter. They had been covering all the black players getting in trouble, but because their darling was Ben Roethlisberger, they didn't cover it. And not only did I write him a letter, there were a lot of media people around the country who responded to the lack of coverage from ESPN on the front page. Then ESPN reluctantly decided to cover that story. Initially, they wouldn't cover it. I wonder why. Because they push an agenda. They have their favorites. And not only that, you can't be independent on ESPN and talk about the NFL, because you know why? The NFL has a contract with ESPN. You say something they don't like, you got to go. That's not independent media. So don't tell me that you're giving me great news. The other thing, Adam Schefter, in my opinion, he should have, some people say he should have been fired last week when he published the medical record for Jason Pierre-Paul. When he put it out on social media. That's illegal. He violated HIPAA laws. And then he hid behind the journalist statute saying, hey, well, I'm a journalist. The people right to know. You don't have a right to go after my medical records and publish them. You do not have that right. ESPN did nothing to Schefter. I'm sorry, folks. I know a lot of people are ESPN disciples. But I've been in the media for a long time, 30 years to be exact. And I have seen this entity, ESPN, devolve into something that I don't particularly care for anymore. Give me my sports. That's all I want. I don't want your commentary. I don't want your agenda. I just want the X's and O's and the Billies and Joes. That's my rant for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. We've got we got a couple more minutes to go in the show. And remember, August 1st, we start 2 hours, 8 to 10 a.m. We'll start breaking down some of the teams. My goal is to have some of the people in some of those various areas, some of the reporters to come onto the show as well. And a lot more coming up. We'll get into some of the local sports flavor also, including some of the local colleges. Obviously, I went to Southern Arkansas University. We'll talk to Henderson. We'll talk to Arkansas Tech. We'll certainly talk to SAU, UAM, Arkansas State, UCA. We're going to get those coaches on. We're just going to have a fun time and talk sports. And, of course, we're going to talk a little commentary as well. So I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you'll spread the word. Tell a friend. If you are an advertiser and you like what you hear, I'd love for you to advertise on this show. The rates are small. You can give me a call right here at Jordanette, or you can call me personally at 615-554-0568. So go ahead and give me a buzz if you want, and we can talk a little bit about how you can advertise and support the weekly sports magazine. So Ty's pulling up some music, and we'll get that going here in just a moment. We're going to be out of here. Also, remember, go to my Facebook page, and we'll jam a little Facebook. You can stay in touch with me there. Also, if you want to email me, there are a number of ways. You can buy the Rip Rub at Coleman's Dynamic Products on riprub.com. Man, it's been fun. This hour goes fast. I hope you enjoyed the rant. We've got to go. Thanks a lot, Ty. You've been listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine. See you next Saturday. Well, see you next Thursday, 5 p.m. and Saturday at 9. JoyNetRadio.com.